Thank you, Matt. So we already spotted in Mari's low-cost, innovative approach for reducing the vessel resistance, the energy use, and the resulting fuel consumption in maritime. We identified the opportunity. Is the number one operating expense, CO2 emissions must be reduced, funding will be cut. In this environment, our product has a total addressable market of 6.7 billion and 45 million tons of CO2 elimination potential. The story of 13 Mari started here. I noticed structures to the floor, did research, managed to recruit a recognized NATO and DARPA partner as a principal researcher, and we wanted to find solution applicable to shipping. After all the work that we've done, we settled on this element. This element has the ability of increasing the mass flow above the turbulence by 10%. And in this particular that we've done, this is a result of 20% less drag. This 20% translates one-to-one to energy, and should the fuel be moving the fluid, fuel savings. And this is the ultimate potential of the technology as we presently know it. In the context of a virtual vessel, we are installing a set of elements on the hull of the vessel. They measure about 1%, relatively small, and with them we can achieve up to 7% efficiency gain. This is a small vessel that was retrofitted. We are literally epoxying the elements to the hull. With this, we are executing the retrofit while the vessel is into the dry dock, and every commercial vessel undergoes regular scheduled maintenance. By not compromising the integrity of the hull, we now have a product that is very low risk for Mari and for the vessels. Going back to maritime, we focus exclusively on bulkers, tankers, and ore carriers in the first 2-3 years of the existence because of specifics in the container carriers. This is an example of what can be achieved for the biggest ore carrier on the planet. 13 Mari could be generating revenue up to 100,000. 3.2 million in savings will be realized by the vessel owner for the course of 5 years, which covers the typical scheduled maintenance, voyage scheduled maintenance cycle. And the margin looks pretty good, which means we don't need to sell a lot in order to meet our revenue projections. Now, in terms of competition, of course, we have competition. We are first mover with a novel patented passive and simple reliability and zero OPEX product. The other products that you see on the screen, they are presented as recognized by Lloyd's. The important here is that we can work with any of the competitor products, except for perhaps the application. For savings, that's stack. Now you've seen the market, you understand the size of the price. This year we have self-funded to date. We won the Captain's Table December 2021. The Commission on Science, Innovation and Technology with the state of New Jersey awarded us a grant. We are looking to raise a seed, and a follow-up Series A conversion will take place in 2023 or 2024. The funds are used to get to the first sea trial, and from there to begin commercial operations. Few words about us. We have great wealth of experience. We blend maritime, scientific, technology, engineering, and business. Bernie, Heine, Mark Fortnum, Klaus Nemzov, Javier, Ilse Tanasova, they are all from the maritime industry. Mark is a former managing director from British Petroleum. Javier is from Carnival Cruises. Klaus is a former chief innovation officer from Eastern Pacific Shipping. These are our partners. Once again, we won the Captain's Table, which unlocked the relationship with Lloyd's, with each of them. Again, the innovation and technology. This is what we have in the customer pipeline. As a matter of fact, this slide needs to be changed because we're talking to additional maritime companies at the moment. Pretty big pipeline. Terrill Maritime is providing the first vessel for trade.
30 seconds.
While we're extremely focused on the maritime business, operations in other verticals are possible since our elements influence the flow everywhere. The company is looking for an acquisition. in 4 years' time. So once again, we have an inexpensive, passive, zero OpEx product decoupled from Proposer and applicable to a vessel. We have a technology that enables the creation of new type of energy-saving device, wind offshore included. And with this, the timing for the investment is right. We have everything to begin execution provided the funds. Thank you.
Time is up. Awesome. Thank you for pitching, Krasi. I'm going to bring our other investors in, and then after this, of course, we'll have the startup of the night moment. One thing I just quickly wanted to ask is, yeah, it looks like cleaning the hull actually increases the efficiency more than what you guys are doing. What can you clarify a little bit what hull cleaning means?
Yes, you're right, but cleaning the hull does not work for more than a couple of months. And after every cleaning, the hull needs to be cleaned at ever decreasing intervals of time because the anti-fouling paint is scratched and the fouling happens quickly afterwards. Some companies settled on executing scheduled maintenance at a shorter interval of time. It's more cost efficient to actually bring the vessel into the dry dock every 2.5 years and replace the anti-fouling paint with a fresh new paint instead of performing hull cleaning.
Okay, understood. And in terms of the actual upside of the business, the 4-year exit is still something that I'm a little hesitant on. How big can something like this get?
It can get really big if we focus on the right subsegment. For instance, we start conversations with Euronav for some of the vessels with large crude oil carriers. The annual savings between 500 to 600,000, which means that with very few installations, we'll be making reasonable revenue, even if one.
And how do you plan to scale that up? I know you've talked about working with shipyards and having it be almost a B2B to B model.
This is correct. I cut off the slides though, because the 5 minutes do not allow to discuss this. There are 216 dry docks for large vessels worldwide. By focusing on the really large vessels, we need assistance getting reasonable coverage in, let's say, 150 to 200 meter space. The dry docks are already performing services for the vessels, so there is benefit. There is benefit working with them, and we intend to provide all the tools that the dry dock needs in order to successfully include mapping software that pinpoints the installation locations on the vessel hull, the elements themselves, the white labeled installation materials, training, and certification.
Very good. Thanks. Matt, do you have questions?
Yeah. My only question is on the licensing versus product sales. I want to understand how you plan to do that both in the early stages and as you continue to scale.
The licensing, you mean the dry docks, or because at the moment we also contemplate a licensing type of model when it comes to the elements, but really what will happen, how the product and the company develops depends on what the vessel owners want. And so far, the vessel owners are willing to pay for the installation elements instead of sorry, I misunderstood the question. I'm thinking about leasing. Going into a different territory there. So in terms of licensing, the dry docks, they're performing installation, so they are making money for installation. We don't compete with them on labor. We're just providing the tools. Whether the revenue will be split 50-50 or in a different ratio, it's a subject of future discussion, of course.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was great hearing more about this.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no, exciting work, and I mean, it seems to be a clear, like, clear value from all the stakeholders. point of view, from my side, seeing the presentation, but what kind of pushback or what are the barriers to get the ship owners and other partners on board for this?
No pushbacks. It's unbelievable that the company is getting inbound calls from pretty big companies.
Okay.
So what really stands in the way is securing the funding until we get to the end of the sea trial, and then for the commercial operations, I bet that raising additional funds is not going to be a problem at all.
All right. And do you see this as the main funding round, or what comes after? Is there another venture round after this with the fundraising strategy?
So we don't really need to raise a lot of money after the convertible note, but given the economic situation, we have to offer interest, and the way to contain interest is to convert relatively quickly. Even why not next year after the sea trial is done? The Series A, the company is not going to raise a huge amount of money. There is no need for that as well, considering the margin and considering what the company needs in order to start scaling. And scaling will not happen for the next 2 years. I mean, the plan is to begin leveraging dry docks once we have proven that the mapping software works internally, and we need the mapping software for our own use. And from that point on, we will start looking for perhaps additional funds if we need that to develop the training certification programs and to really scale the operations via the dry docks.
Okay. And yeah, my last question is, are there other companies that have gone through this model of an attachment, underneath the boat, even if it's in a different sector, a different use case? Has this model been tried out in the shipping industry before?
In the shipping industry alone, I'm not aware of, even though companies are doing performing installation of energy-saving devices in the stern section of the vessel. So yes, if we're talking about energy-saving devices, there are energy-saving devices that will be built. Oftentimes, some of the devices, they need to be tested for the specific vessel, which means that there is no software and there is no easy way of scaling. And model tests are due in order to optimize the device for the particular vessel. This is not the case with us. With the software, we'll be able to solve the problem without additional testing into the tow channel, which is expensive. Then really, if we are talking about analog to what we do, we should probably look at aviation partners. I was shocked to learn that the winglets of the Boeing planes, they're not developed by Boeing, they're developed by aviation partners.